Unsung Murder Ballads discusses topics of a disturbing nature.
And we're not going to hold back on the graphic details and disturbing content.
So we do not recommend our podcast for children under the age of 13.
And while we respect the victims and their families involved in these tragic cases,
we're also going to be critical of mistakes that are made during the investigations.
And we're going to use dark humor to express ourselves now and then.
So with that said, this podcast may not be for everyone.
And that's okay. We're glad you're here checking us out.
And if you've made it this far, welcome to the Unsung Murder Ballads family. And follow us on Instagram at Unsung Murder Ballads if you want to talk to us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. This is episode 53. I am Janus Dead.
I'm Jameson Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
I hope everyone enjoyed last week's episode where we did Ted Bundy. Like, holy shit.
Oh my god, so good.
Yeah,
it's so fascinating, the things we learn.
It was so good, and I'm so glad we did it now. And I've already got the next, I think, 5 of those FJI episodes already planned. So,
It's going to be fun.
It's going to be crazy. So, yeah, so tonight we have a surprise episode coming in because Jameson's going to be doing one.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, not something super famous like Bundy, but something very cool.
No, but it's still a decent case, and I always love presenting, and I think you guys will like this case, so.
All right, well, hit us with it.
All
Take
right.
it away.
Let's start here. It's late, and you're in the college library studying. It's the 60s, and there are no smartphones or computers available to you. You have to do this the hard way, the old-fashioned way. You hear commotion, and you look over, and a man tells you that a girl needs help. You move towards the commotion, and that same man is making a hasty exit. What would you do in this situation? This is the case of Betsy Aardsma.
Okay. And I would probably have stopped that guy I saw moving away in a hasty manner. That's what I would have done.
I mean, you never know what the hell to expect when you see such erratic behavior.
Yeah, you know.
Right. I probably would have tried to find where the girl is that he said needs help.
But I would assume other people are doing that exact same thing. I would have, at the very least, would have kept my eye on that guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Oh yeah, definitely. Elizabeth Ruth Betsy Aardsma was the second of 4 children born in Holland, Michigan, to Esther and Richard Aardsma, and she was raised in a middle-class, very religious and conservative household.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of households were like that back then.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's just that's just to me like I picture so much oppression. You know.
Oh yeah, such strict, such very regimented, and follows the stereotype with this next fact, and the fact that Betsy's father was a tax auditor. He worked for the Michigan State Treasurer, and her mother was a housewife. So right there off the bat, housewife and hardworking husband. I don't know, it kind of fits a stereotype in my point of view.
Yeah, and it does. And he's like a tax auditor. You can't get any more like plain than that.
Yeah, right? It just sounds like a pretty average family.
Yeah, average. Yep. Except for the last name. That's not average. That one sounds like it's hard to spell.
Yeah, and at first I wasn't sure how to pronounce it. I actually did have to look it up because it's not pronounced nearly what it's spelled. So definitely unique, especially for that time.
Pronunciation is our strong suit on this podcast.
No, but it's not just us, because I listen to other podcasts, and they all struggle. So, like, there was one I heard.
It's a skill they don't tell you need when you start a podcast.
Right? And it's funny, there's one I listened to where it was from another country, and they were saying the names of some very unique cultural names. And you could tell, listening to it, that they paused it and edited in them saying the names 100% correctly, because it went from sounding as casual to you and I to all of a sudden it was like, Bob Jones, you know? And you were just like, what? You're just like, what?
That's great.
It was pretty funny.
So she attended Holland High School and did very well. She graduated with honors in 1965. She attended Hope College in 1965 with hopes of being a doctor. Her roommate, while she was at the Hope College, described her as intelligent with feminist traits.
Okay.
Okay, work.
In 1967, Betsy enrolled in the University of Michigan. By her senior year, she started dating her very first serious boyfriend. His name was David Wright, and that will come into play a little bit later on.
Well, I was gonna say, this is a murder podcast, he has to be a suspect.
You say boyfriend, I say I don't trust him.
Yeah, instantly. I was like, he's on the list.
Immediately.
I'm not saying anything. We'll get into it.
If she hadn't left home, the parents would also be on the list.
True.
Probably. So she graduated with honors in 1969 from Hope College. After graduating, she had hopes of going into the Peace Corps, but unfortunately, her heart is bigger than her head. And after David had said he didn't think he could be faithful with her being away that long, she decided not to go into the Peace Corps and instead enrolled.
Oh man, throw away the man.
Wow. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing, like red flag.
Yeah, put the man in the dumpster.
Rolled over real quick for love there. I was like,
red flag number 1. That's controller.
Apparently love
he got his green flag that it's gonna work.
Yeah, right? It's like, I know how to keep her under control. I just threatened to cheat on her.
Literally, someone threatens to cheat on you and you're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. What?
Yeah, like, what? You can't even abide by the most basic tenant? What?
Right? It's like, come on.
All right, wow.
Now,
But, we've all, I have fallen for men's dumb shit before and probably will continue to, so that's life.
Well, with that said, I've fallen for women's shit before. That's just as bad, because I remember, and this, I know we're going on a tangent, so apologize.
No, it's okay.
Everybody.
We love our little tangents.
But I dated someone once, and something was going on, and I kept saying, "Are you seeing someone else?" And she was like, "No, not at all." And then, a few months later, someone that we knew was cheating on her boyfriend. And I said, "Yeah, I didn't realize she was seeing someone else." And she said, "Well, they're probably just fucking. That's not the same thing." And all of a sudden, everything clicked into place from when I had asked her before about seeing other people. I was like, oh, she wasn't seeing them. She was just fucking them.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Dear God.
Yeah, this was Clyde. I know, Zach, you don't remember. Clyde was the nickname we gave to an ex-girlfriend of mine.
Oh, Clyde.
Yes. And Clyde was short for cheating, lying douchebag. And yeah, that was Clyde. So anyway, we digress.
Right. So this lovely man with his incredibly big first red flag convinced her not to join the Peace Corps, and instead she enrolled at Penn State University. Now, I will ask you guys later on, seeing that I know what happens here.
Oh my god, you know what happens?
What your thoughts are? Well, I just found out tonight. I mean, I just put this all together on the fly. So
right, you can tell.
Thanks a lot. Thank you. Yep, that makes me feel great. What I was going to say was, having known what happens here, after everything's all said and done, I want your thoughts on whether or not, if things had gone differently, if things of this case would have turned out differently in your mind.
I see what you're saying. I think we've established in past cases that typically it would have happened anyway, just to someone else. But we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, so we'll revisit that little thing, as you like to say, keep it on the back burner. She enrolled in 1969, late 1969, I believe it was October. Yep, is when she enrolled in Penn State. She resided on campus and did very well academically, but didn't do a lot of extracurriculars.
Nothing wrong with that.
She spent a lot of time studying, and on weekends, she would go visit Mr. Red Flag.
I love that that's his nickname now.
His actual name is David Wright, but,
I like Mr. Red Flag. That's funny.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's what I'm going to call all my sister's boyfriends.
Oh, that's funny. Being an academic, come Thanksgiving time, Betsy was very stressed because she had fallen behind on an English assignment. And I've known a couple very academic people, and when they fall behind on assignments, man, it's like the whole world's coming to an end.
Yeah, that's me as a person.
I was going to say, I don't know that I was stressed out about it, but I certainly wasn't like the happiest person when I fell behind. But yes.
Oh, I would be having meltdown, but that's just me.
On November 27th, Mr. Red Flag drove Betsy to a nearby bus stop in Harrisburg. And at that point, the couple had been together about a year, and they were planning on getting engaged by the holidays in December. So she's still pushing forward with this.
I just think it's interesting that they were planning on getting engaged. Most of the time, that's like a surprise when you pop the question. I've
Yeah,
never.
it feels like historically, yeah, it would be.
Yeah,
And I
it's
mean, especially at that time, I feel like things weren't. I mean, like nowadays, it's a little bit more planned out, but I feel like back then it was a very, like, keep this under wraps. It has to be a surprise. Otherwise, it's ruined kind of thing.
well. I don't know. I still think it's a surprise because you see way too many times that people are like, they're setting up the cameras and they're like, actually surprising her with the question. So I don't know that
Mhm.
it's changed. I'm just surprised they were planning on it.
Fair enough. Come November 28th, Betsy had been a student for about 8 weeks, and her roommate decided to go to the library to research and work on Betsy's paper. Well, along the way, plans changed and they decided to part ways, but decided to meet up or plan to meet up later in the afternoon. So she entered the library and placed her purse, her jacket, and a book inside a carrel.
A what?
So a carrel is a small cubicle with a desk.
Oh, got you, got you.
Oh,
I never
okay.
knew those had a little name.
I know. I always
Yeah,
called them
I
little desks.
yeah, you had to look it up myself. I was like, I don't know what this is. And
A
then
carrel or a corral?
Carrel.
Huh.
Huh. Okay. All right.
So I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced.
That's certainly not a corral. So yeah, a
No.
carol. Weird. Okay. Never heard of it.
I
Um,
know.
And I've
Now,
sat at dozens of them.
this next bit of information, I at least know what it is. I don't know if Joyous will know what it is, but maybe I'm just aging myself a little bit more than I should. So after she placed her stuff down, she headed towards a card catalog.
I know what that is.
Come
I'm not that
on.
young.
Come
I
on.
had to make sure I wasn't.
Wow, she's not like a teenager.
Well, no, but like,
But like to your credit, no, I've never used one. I just
Oh,
remember when I was a kid, they like had them in the library.
that's so
okay,
funny.
all right, fair enough. Because I remember having to use them as a young kid trying to look stuff up,
Oh yeah, no, I never had to do that. I am a child of the internet age.
and that's why I wasn't trying to offend. I was just
Oh
kind
no,
of
you
like,
didn't offend me. I just thought it was funny. It's always funny because like people will sometimes ask me shit like, "Do you even like know what a VCR is?" And I'm like, "Yes." Like I am not. I was not born yesterday. I had VHS tapes.
fair enough, fair enough. I just when I read that, I was like, oh my god, I feel old.
Throwback.
This is
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Do not know what this is.
So, after she found the references she was looking for, she headed down to the second level of the library at about 4:30 p.m. The final potential sighting of her was on level 2 of the library, a little after 4:30 when she had been seen by one of the library assistant supervisors. His name was Dean Brungart. He observed a girl in a red dress standing alone in an aisle with two young men talking among themselves closer to the west end of the library. 10 minutes after, another witness, Richard Allen, overheard a conversation between a male and a female in the area that Betsy was, and Richard had told police later on that while he couldn't hear what they were saying, it didn't sound like a very alarming conversation. So there were no raised voices, there were no
Okay.
issues, so he didn't think much of it.
And we're sure that's her, or he just heard a man and a woman?
That's what the report said. Whether or not he knew it was her for certain, that's what he heard.
Okay.
But moments later, Richard heard a metallic crashing noise, and then a young man who, quote unquote, looked like a student barreled past him.
Huh.
Yeah. So once again, red flags go off in my head.
Yeah, you
Thinking to
should be
myself-
paying attention to this guy. You should be
Yeah.
following him.
Right. Like this guy, like at best, like probably knocked over a whole shelf of books. Should probably not run away from that.
Yeah, at best. Yeah, because it's probably we know it's going to be a lot worse.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, just strap in because this is where stuff starts to go down.
Oh, I'm strapped.
At some point between 4:45 and 4:55, Betsy was stabbed a single time through the left breast with a knife.
Oh, the precision.
Oh yeah.
I'm assuming
Yeah,
it
and
punctured
that
her
actually
lung.
comes into play. So the stab wound was severed her pulmonary artery and went into the right ventricle of her heart.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, so there's no saving her. She's fucked.
Oh
Like
no.
a single stab death. That's crazy. That's so intentional.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Huh. That's
Following
awful.
the stabbing, Betsy slumped to the ground and, in an attempt to roll over on her back or try to lessen the suffering, I guess, she knocked over several books on an adjacent rack. That's probably what the metallic crashing noise, or at least part of it, was.
So I don't know if she did that to like stretch out or whatever, like loosen some of the pressure. That might be her only means of getting people's attention. She may have
That
done that
also
on
could
purpose.
be. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see that.
So, two students, Juao and Marley, observed a man running from the scene of the commotion, hiding his right hand, so kind of like up against his chest and like covered by his sweatshirt, exclaiming,
Flag, yeah.
exclaiming, "That girl needs help."
Oh
And
shit.
Okay. Nothing suspicious here.
right,
Mhm.
Marley described the man as being dressed in khaki/tie and sports jacket.
What
So,
a weird fit to pull up to a library to murder someone in.
Right. Which tells me I don't know that it was planned.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but I don't put on a tie to go assault somebody.
unless you're trying to like
Blend in.
have the reverse effect of like no one's gonna think that
Now that's true too. That's a good call.
you're not wearing your like saw mask and your like serial killer outfit.
Yeah, you're not wearing all black. Yeah.
Yeah, a ski mask.
so he was 6 feet tall and about 185 pounds, brown hair, and wearing glasses. He's gonna stick out a little bit
Right.
with
It's pretty
being
tall.
that tall.
Right.
The individual that Juao and Marley saw led them right to Betsy's body and then turned tail and ran.
Oh,
Okay.
And
that's kind of a weird thing to do.
Like I'm trying to think, was it an accident? Like, did he not mean to stab her, and now he's like, oh shit, hey, someone help this girl? He
Right,
obviously,
but like doesn't want to get in trouble. But like, I don't know. That stab wound sounds very intentional.
well, I mean, I don't know, but it's just a weird thing to do. Like you're gonna stab someone and then bring a further attention to it. So that's-
Right, like before you fled the scene, it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, so I don't think
Like-
he wanted her to die.
Maybe.
but
Probably
finally
should've stabbed
somebody
her in the tit then.
finally somebody does get a little bit of sense, and while Marley was checking for a pulse, Juao observed the individual trying to leave the library and followed him. That individual was last seen in the direction of the recreational hall on campus. Police tried several times, have attempts to have the person come forward and just repent for what they did, but there was nothing that came of it.
Yeah, no one's gonna do that. Whether
Right.
No,
whether
and,
it
and
was,
I don't know why the police would try that, but
yeah, like
I don't.
even if you were
yeah.
holding a knife out, turned a corner, and accidentally stabbed someone, you're still probably not gonna turn yourself in when you know they died.
Literally.
Maybe
Well-
they thought people had morals. Who
It
knows?
was the '60s.
Marley had attempted mouth to mouth on Betsy, and a call was placed to the campus hospital at 5:01. So not even like real medical professionals, just campus the health services.
This may be before 911 because 911 wasn't implemented across the country in the '60s.
Wait, really?
Yeah, 911 is relatively new, and some places had it before others.
Huh.
Yeah, so this may be before 911. In fact, I'm going to look that up right now while we're sitting here talking about it.
Yeah, that's wild. I guess I just figured that was probably as old as phones themselves, but
No, there was so I mean, I'm going to say this now, but I'm actually one of the cases I'm looking into was the case that actually where New York City decided they needed something like 911.
oh wow.
Yeah, but it says here in 1968, AT&T announced that it would establish the digits 911 as emergency code throughout the United States. So
Wow.
Ah.
yeah,
So it was still in
new.
its infancy.
And it may not have been everywhere.
Right. That's an interesting fact. I like that. The call was placed to the campus hospital at 5:01, saying that a girl had fainted in the library. They didn't know what had actually happened. They saw a girl go down and assumed she had fainted.
So this knife pierced her heart, but they don't see the blood?
So,
How
well,
weird.
yeah, all right. So, hold on a sec. You're getting
getting
good
ahead, yeah, I know.
you're getting good at what we're good at doing. So,
We're all good at this point.
Yeah, we are.
2 student paramedics were dispatched to the scene where Betsy was, and she was transferred to the health center at the school. Because of the clothing she was wearing, the stab wound was not obvious.
Oh, you red dress.
Oh, right. I was
And
going to
it
make a
was-
joke
it
about
was-
Roxanne, too. The red dress. Forgot about that.
So, and it was heavier clothing and just the mashed real well. So it wasn't super like, oh my God, she's been stabbed.
Like real absorbent fabric or something. Yeah.
Yeah. They thought she had a seizure.
Wow.
Think about it. You don't have any kind of medical training. You're just on campus help.
And you're very bad at checking pulses, I guess.
Right. She doesn't look like she's got any color. Let's bring her to that bench.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
literally.
At the health center, an actual physician pronounced her dead at 5:19 p.m.
Oh.
That's fast.
Yep. Now, here's something that's not fast, and I couldn't believe, and maybe I'm naive in my intelligence as far as autopsies, but an autopsy was conducted by Dr. Mangiani at Belfonte Hospital at 11 p.m.,
Okay.
but that did not conclude until 4 a.m. the next morning.
I think because they do a lot of stuff. They don't just like look at the obvious cause of death. Like they'll probably also do like chemical tests to test like was she drugged before this happened? Like was any other part of her hurt or like, you know, they really check up on it.
Yeah, they're doing every aspect. I think they even take out organs and weigh them. Like it's a whole process. So I'm not
Yeah.
surprised it took 10 hours.
Fair enough. I wasn't sure how in-depth all of them went into, so when I read that, I was like, wow, that's a long freaking autopsy.
Yeah, they're not like Joyous is right. They're not just going to look at the stab wound and determine it was a knife this long and this wide, yada yada. They have to look at her entire death because
True, they like probably have to look in the wound and like figure out like I don't know, they like obviously like must have dissected. I hate that word. I don't know if that's the word I want to use for this, but like to figure out like what part of her heart it went into. Like you were very specific when you said like yeah, like the left ventricle.
yeah, they knew exactly. Yeah, they had to figure all that out, and at this point they're figuring out if the knife is serrated or smooth. Or there's a whole. I mean, it's a whole thing. So 10
Man,
hours.
now I'm interested. I'm gonna need to do some googling about autopsies. It's really
Right.
interesting.
That'll be weird. You're gonna like text us tomorrow, be like, I hate you guys. I fell down the rabbit hole of autopsies.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna end up on a list.
Right? I can tell you, just from the podcast searches alone, I'm on a list.
Oh, God. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I look up things that like, because I'm always like thinking, well, what if, and I look up things that are so far left of center that I'm like, man, even if they knew I did a true crime podcast, they're like, why are you looking up this?
Janus, I'm gonna say it. You were probably already on a list.
That's very true. You're right.
Let's not act like.
Yeah, that's
Oh
true.
no, it's a true crime podcast that got me on a list. Like,
That's true. No, but to be fair, like it's funny that you say that because I did explosives in the military, which would,
Right, list.
red flag, right? And then I also protested against the George W. Bush administration back in college. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
another list. There's a whole bunch of things. You're right. And that's just
if protesting gets you on a list, then I'm on a
yeah.
lot
You're
of lists.
probably on a list. Yes, just from some of the things you've said on this podcast, you're probably on a list.
Well, if that's criteria, I think we're all on one.
Oh yeah, you're on the list for the police of do not help.
Yeah, probably.
Be like, all right, you want to criticize us? Sit there and die.
Exactly.
Oh, that's low key what they do say. So
Yeah, like it's literally when you dial 911, it's blocked.
yeah, they said,
Like, why
okay,
is there a
bitch,
busy signal?
deal with it.
You dial, you get like a veterinarian's office. All right. Anyway, sorry guys.
Oh, that was a nice digress there for a moment. So death occurred within 5 minutes,
Wow.
and she couldn't scream for help because she had basically been drowning in her own blood after being stabbed.
Oh.
That's awful.
The doctor believed that the murderer intentionally aimed for her heart. There were 35 troopers assigned to Betsy's case.
Wow.
Wow.
Were they students? No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
Really, student paramedics, student cops.
police, yeah, like the people who are supposed to walk people to from dorm to dorm, like they're out.
Right, like oh my god, I'm literally thinking about the like campus police, like fucking useless they would be.
Yeah, that'd be hysterical.
So the entire campus was unsuccessfully searched for the murder weapon, which blows my mind. But apparently, whoever decided to do that got rid of it real well.
It's not hard to get rid of something and have it never be found. Because
Yeah.
if you're looking for a little knife, you could drop that down a sewer grate and it's
Yeah.
gone.
Okay.
You
Wow,
know?
that's a really good idea, Janus. You really thought about this.
And there's list number 10
I
that
know,
he's
right?
on.
I'm also a horror fiction writer, so I think of all
Oh, yeah,
sorts
that'll
of
do
things.
it.
Yeah, I think of all sorts of things.
So there was a $25,000 reward offered for information leading to Betsy's case. So they really wanted to catch this person and get it over with. 90 individuals would enter and exit the library on that certain day, which seems like a lot of people, but it's actually a huge decline because it's normally about 400 that would
Right.
go in
I'm
and out
thinking
of
like
there.
a college library. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's full.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing. Like 90's not a lot. Like even for the small college I went to, 90's not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the 90 people that walked in and out of there, none of them were viable suspects.
Okay. None of them are viable suspects. That's weird. Because to
I
me,
know.
it sounds like they would all be suspects.
Apparently,
Yeah, I guess I wonder
none
what
of
the
them.
criteria they're using.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess they know what the guy looks like, So I
Yeah,
guess
no,
like,
true.
that's true.
Yeah.
They did have witnesses.
So there were 2 closet drawings made of the individual. So that's definitely a good step forward.
Mm-hmm.
Before police were notified, the crime scene had already been compromised.
of course it has been.
Jesus.
Why wouldn't it have been compromised?
Because they believed Betsy had fainted, they had ordered the janitors to clean up the urine and restack the books that had fallen when she had grabbed at them and clean everything up and rearrange everything.
Ugh,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's tough.
I'm assuming she was the one who urinated, right? Because she's
Yeah, when
Yes.
you die.
expired. Yeah. So, but I can see that if you didn't know it was a murder, and I was like, yeah, this, who knows what they were thinking, but like this girl who passed out, pissed on the floor. Can you get a mop? So this makes
Yeah.
sense. They had no idea. So I don't think that's bad cop like investigative work. I think that's just like, fuck, they didn't know.
Yeah, it's just a mistake.
Go
All
ahead,
right, so
sir.
obviously any physical evidence they had was definitely compromised. The first trooper on the scene, Mike Simmers, even though things had been compromised, he ordered to have the scene secured.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because at this point
Uh,
there might be a fingerprint. You never know.
Yeah, right. And
True, it
anything,
could still be.
a series of small, fresh blood droplets matching Betsy's blood type were seen on the staircase leading down to level 3 of the library.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So he had her blood on him.
I would think that would indicate that he had gone out that way or he had tried to leave the library that way. But yes, I would also say that indicates that he has the blood on him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Several factors led into the fact that they thought that Betsy had known her attacker.
Okay.
Research and questioning led to it wasn't a stalker. So she wasn't being stalked. And immediately her boyfriend was eliminated as a suspect.
Why was he eliminated?
So they questioned him and did research and came to the conclusion that he wasn't.
Okay, so they
He
vetted
wasn't.
him. Okay.
Huh.
All right. So Mr. Red Flag is apparently not a red flag.
Yeah, interesting.
At least not in this.
Okay.
So there were several theories that she may have stumbled upon a homosexual encounter, a possible exhibitionist, or a man engaging in masturbatory fantasies, and that was the reason she was murdered.
He got caught jerking off, so he killed somebody.
Well,
that was one of the theories. Yes.
Yeah, interesting.
that's a weird one. Yeah. So
That's
like
very 1960s.
I was gonna say because I know in some areas in the '60s being gay was illegal, so I could almost be like, maybe she walked in on 2 men and one of them panicked and stabbed her, but
Right.
doesn't just like
Also,
it
then
does
why are you fucking in a library, my guy?
right. But the other part is like if one guy like they only saw one person fleeing, so where's the second
Mhm.
person? So that almost rules out that theory. But if you're just like you just said, jerking off in a library and somebody catches you that doesn't know you, you're gonna stab her. But if she does know you, would you really stab her? It's kind of weird.
So many questions here.
Yeah, I'm not digging it.
So the homosexual theory actually gained a little bit of traction
Of
after
course
one
it
of
did.
I was gonna say, of
af-
course it did. If it
after
was
one
the
of the
80s, it'd be the Satan theory.
oh yeah,
Oh, 100%.
one of the investigators, Michael Mulch, had brought that up and had thought that that could be a very good reasoning for her being murdered.
Yeah.
So
Fear the gay man.
Mm-hmm.
after they searched the area where she was, they observed a desk that was pulled backwards in a corner of the library. And on the desk was a half-empty can of soda and a small stack of pornographic magazines, all of which were homosexual pornographic magazines.
Huh.
Okay, so at least I can kind of understand where they think she caught somebody jerking off now, but
But
still,
yeah, it's still like such a long shot.
it's so weird.
Yeah. Why are you
There's so
reading
many
porn in the
weird things.
library?
Well,
Well-
apparently there was a lot of it because furthermore, there were
Jesus.
24 more magazines that were found
Oh my God,
in between the books
What the
that
fuck?
she was found. And there were copious amounts of semen found on the floor, the shelves, and the walls.
Oh,
What the
gross.
Fuck Penn State.
Yeah. So it was concluded that this little tucked away area was used for sexual encounters and just weird, sketchy crap like that.
Ew, the poor books.
Sorry, that was funny.
Book lives matter.
Oh, gross. Gross. I just don't
I'll
get
take
it.
that one. That's
I just don't get it. Like, of all the places, a public library, not even in the bathroom. At the public
literally
library.
what?
No, they were too brazen for that.
No, it was the reading kink.
Ugh, it just doesn't make nasty.
Bibliophiles, they're nuts.
Bibliophiles. That's a good one.
So even though fingerprints were found on the half-empty can of soda, they didn't match any of the fingerprints that are in the police database.
Of course not.
So
Mhm.
and it blows my mind and just opens me up to the possibility again that unless you had the specific person back then,
Right.
it was a needle in a haystack.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's no databases. There's no computers, really.
Right, I'm like, are they going through the files of every single fingerprint they've ever obtained and like comparing it? Like that must be a rough process.
Yeah, that would take forever. But that's what they would do. They would find people that match that description that were arrested, and they would compare the fingerprints. That's exactly what they would do.
Wild.
And that's only that one town. Or maybe the state police gets involved and they do it for the whole state. But if this person was a student from, I don't know, Arizona, they're not going to find his fingerprint anywhere.
No, which is insane.
Now, what I'm thinking now is so my wheels are turning, right? I'm thinking, what if this was like a serial killer or someone who's about to be a serial killer, and part of his thing was he enjoyed the voyeurism, the exhibitionism of jerking off in a library, and she like turned the corner and ended up right on top of him. So he stabs her real quick and gets the hell out. And like she's just his first victim, and maybe
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But
Or he was just trying to like slow her down or something, like he wasn't trying to kill her.
right, because why would he call attention to it? Again, that goes back to that.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Weird.
So other theories for Betsy's murder were being killed by an upset ex, witnessing a drug deal, or to settle a drug debt.
Her drug debt?
That's what they
Guess
called
so.
it.
Okay. All right.
So obviously the drug debt thing obviously was wiped away real quick because there were people that knew Betsy well enough that while she did smoke and drink occasionally, she never touched drugs. She wasn't that kind of girl. So
Right.
that fell off real quick.
Again, I go back to I don't think it was a drug deal because only one person was running away.
Mm-hmm.
Although, if there were two people and one of them was smart enough to run like 10 feet and sit down at a carol, you know?
Despite several leads and all kinds of tips, nobody was arrested for her murder. Despite the police and even the president of the university got involved and tried to help solve this, her case did eventually go cold, and Betsy's murder is still unsolved to this day.
That's crazy.
Oh shit, that's it? Like they never figured out anything?
Nope. Now there are a couple suspects that I will bring to light here, but unfortunately nothing concrete has come of any of this.
Yeah, see, Jameson loves the unsolved cases.
There's so many what ifs. It's crazy.
Yeah, I like the closure myself, but
So one of the major suspects was William Spencer. He was a 40-year-old sculptor. He was reported to police after he allegedly confessed to having killed that girl in the library, quote unquote, at a family gathering.
Wait, he's at a family gathering and he says out loud that he killed that girl at the library?
That's what was said, yep.
What?
That's odd, to say the least.
I'm picturing he gets in an argument with his brother. He knows like his brother's not intimidated by him. He's like, "Hey, get the fuck away from me! I killed that girl at the library."
Oh my god, yeah.
It just doesn't make sense. But okay, go ahead.
But so he was quickly dismissed as a subject, as him and his wife had recently relocated to Pennsylvania just weeks prior to Betsy's murder. So their thought process is there's no way that with the personal nature of the crime that he would have known her or even been able to run into her or anything in order to commit this.
See, I know this is like pre-Ted Bundy, but Bundy would have done it faster than that. So I don't buy it. I don't buy it. He's still on my list.
All right. Next is Richard Hafner. He was a 25-year-old geology student. Well-respected, socially awkward. He had a platonic relationship with women to conceal his homosexuality.
Wait,
he would, be friends and try to put on this facade.
Wait, well, hold on. You just said he has a platonic relationship with women to conceal that he's gay?
Yes.
Is that really the word they use? Platonic? Because that's what that means.
They're talking about a beard. Like they're talking about he's like maybe dating someone, but platonically.
Okay, it was just weird because usually you use platonic to mean not romantic, so therefore that doesn't hide that you're gay. But I see what you're saying.
I think platonic is more the opposite of sexual.
Oh, okay, all right. I've never heard it used that way. Okay, gotcha.
But no, and I understand what you mean, Janus, and that was my first thought when I had read it is, how is that gonna cover that up? But then digging deeper into it, like Joyous had explained, that it could be everything except the physical.
Okay, fair enough.
Make it look good on the outside.
Right, and it's the 60s, so like technically unmarried would be fairly normal to have a non-sexual relationship as well.
That's true. You're right.
Pretty easy to hide being gay.
All right, fair enough. I stand corrected.
He was known to frequently dress in khakis and sports coats, and
what a freak.
And he kept his brown hair short and tidy. So fitting
that
physical description.
Right.
Yep. He freely admitted to becoming acquainted with Betsy in late October and occasionally socialized with her, though 1 week after becoming friends, Betsy terminated the relationship because she wanted to remain faithful to David. Mr. Red Flag.
Huh. Okay, that's certainly suspicious.
Yeah, especially because, again, it doesn't go with the platonic thing, but okay.
Yeah.
I guess she must have had some kind of moral something, or must have thought of it as cheating, or hell, she might have been scared of David. Who knows?
I was going to say, maybe David was like, you can't hang out with this man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it easily could have been that.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. Yeah.
According to Richard, he had been eating meal at the student building and felt physically ill when learning that his quote-unquote former girlfriend was the victim.
Huh.
So this guy lives in his own little twisted reality where he thought that they were more than they actually were.
Or he uses the term former girlfriend to continue to hide the fact that he's gay.
That too, yes.
Fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Quite opportunistic. Jesus.
One of the composite sketches that was drawn earlier resembled Richard, actually. So I feel like everything piled up against this guy.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, it fits their.
He still has an alibi.
I was going to say it fits their profile. You know, if he fits the description and they think it was someone engaged in gay activity or masturbating in the library and she turned the corner and saw that it was him, it fits their theory. I don't know that he would immediately stab her.
Right.
Like, my whole thing is, like, if I were masturbating in a library and you turned the corner and saw me, I'd just be like, don't tell anybody. I'm not going to stab you. I don't
Yeah, that's a bit much.
Yeah.
But also, please don't masturbate.
there are better places. Like the library bathroom. Sorry.
Literally. We've all been there.
So, interestingly enough, Richard, when he died, his death was similar to Betsy's. There was a tear in his aorta, which caused him to die.
Maybe it was her soul fucking with him. Maybe
Right?
Yeah, that's like
tearing him up.
Yeah, that's like some haunted shit.
Betsy's murder had become a major factor in the creation of the University Police at Penn State.
Okay.
Huh.
Oh, so they didn't have a campus police before this?
No. So
Ah.
that was the legacy that this case left and the impact that it had.
Okay.
Don't know that it would have made a difference, but
I don't think it would have either. It happened so fast.
mm-hmm.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the case of Betsy Aardsma.
This is why I hate unsolved cases.
Me too. It's so unsatisfying, and also like it's sad because there's never justice.
Yeah, we don't know enough. She certainly didn't do anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
She just happened to be, I'm assuming it wasn't someone that killed her for personal reasons. She just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And we know shit. That's frustrating.
Yeah, that nothing, and it's like it wasn't a time when there were security cameras or anything, and there's just no knowing what happened. That's tough.
And if that person who left the fingerprint was never, ever arrested, you couldn't even check it now.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, there's no DNA unless somehow they scraped off those gallons of friggin' semen stains, and compared them to everything. Like, even, and again...
No, I'm just picturing that, like, crusty in a bag 50 years old.
So nasty. So nasty. I'm just picturing going to the library to pick out a book and seeing that all over the place.
Oh,
so nasty.
That's gonna ruin libraries.
Exactly. I'd be like, if that happened, I'd be like, you know what? I'm not even gonna use this library. I'll buy the book.
Now,
for real. Ew.
Having heard everything that happened, let's go back to what I had proposed earlier. Do you think that if she had joined the Peace Corps, she'd still be alive?
Well, I guess unless someone else was there.
Yeah.
Because we have no idea why it happened. She probably would be, unless she got killed in the Peace Corps.
Yeah, but I don't know that someone else would have been in her place to be there if it was just a random happenstance. So,
right, it's like...
So no, I would argue probably not.
Okay.
Unless it was a serial killer in the making. I have to look it up now. How many serial killers went to Penn State?
Yeah, now it's like, it could be... Like, I feel like some of these cases, it's like, this could be just one of, like, the many serial killers that we've talked about that were just, like, random. Although it doesn't, like, necessarily sound similar to anything that we've talked about before, but...
No, but, like, for example, the one in Atlantic City, the guy, and granted, those were so many years later, it's not likely, but whoever killed those women behind that hotel, maybe that was the same person. It's not that far away. But but that would be hugely coincidental. So I just think it was someone who panicked, did something stupid, and got the hell out of Dodge, and probably never committed another crime again.
Yeah, probably scared straight a little bit.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Well, we don't know it was a gay person. I don't fuck with this gay panic bullshit.
I agree with you on that one. I'm not sure that was the case either, but the evidence of either gay or or masturbatory activity is really overwhelming and gross.
Yeah, it's nasty. Either way, it's someone fucked up.
Yeah, that's some weird shit. Well, thank you for that presentation, Jameson. That was
You're very welcome.
Leaves a bad taste in my mouth because there's no answers, but
yeah, right. And at this point, there never will be.
Yeah, there never will be. If her parents are still alive,
they're probably not.
Yeah, probably not. But
They'd
either
be
way,
really old.
Yeah, there's no way to solve this case.
Yeah, I mean, like if she were alive today, she would have probably been like my grandparents' age, and they're like 80.
20 in the 60s. Yeah, you're right. They'd be 80. Wow.
It's sad. So much life lost.
Yeah. And who knows what she would have gone on to do. But instead, we get to sit here and ask ourselves what the hell happened, because Jameson likes to pick the unsolved cases.
He loves to torture us.
Now, do you blame Mr. Red Flag at all for her death?
Yes.
Because
she would have been in another country building like huts for people.
Yeah, she would have had a successful life had she not decided to stick around and wait on him.
Well,
but who knows?
That was her choice.
That's true. In the end, she made the choice.
Right, and it's not like going in the Peace Corps is the safest thing in the world either.
No, it's really not.
No.
All right, guys, thank you for joining us again this week. Next week, we'll be doing something very new and very special for you. We got more ideas coming, so
follow us on Instagram.
Yes, follow us on Instagram and join us on our Facebook group. We look forward to hearing any more case suggestions. So thank you once again.
Always love hearing those case suggestions. Keep them coming, guys.
Absolutely. Once again, I am Janus Dead.
I'm Jameson Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
And we'll see you next week.